Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and it is June 10th already as we take another day off the chart for 51 days until we get NBA basketball back. And to talk about that and kick off our first ever PGA show, I am, of course, matched with my partner in crime here, Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing great, Coach. Yeah, this is exciting here. Wednesday, we know what day it is here. It's a little bit more challenging when we cover the KBO to keep track of what day it is, but we know it's Wednesday. We're kind of on a normal schedule here. We got some early tee times tomorrow, right around the corner from you. So a lot of fun here as we break down our first PGA podcast at DFS Coach Talk.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man. Right? We didn't expect to be providing for KBO, obviously. Nobody did. And then PGA was sort of a secondary sport for us as we focus mainly on basketball, football, and baseball here at DFS Coach Talk. But obviously, circumstances have presented themselves. And I know both Andrew and I do play a lot of DFS golf anyway. So it was just natural. I mean, as I said, we have 51 days until the NBA's back, followed by football the following month. And it doesn't look any closer to this baseball nonsense that's going on. So, with 6, 7 weeks left, we're going to try to build a really solid bankroll for our members in PGA and KBO. So should be a lot of fun. It's sort of ironic because I have been to this tournament that's being played this week multiple times, and it is only about 25 minutes from my doorstep. So it's crazy though because they won't let anybody watch it, so I can't go. But I guess it's not a bad thing that I can't go because one of the things we'll talk about today, Andrew, is the heat. It is hot as hell here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex this week and not going to get any cooler. So we'll go over that. I'm going to sort of lay out the logistics of the tournament this week. And then Andrew certainly will have a pile of his wonderful nuggets for us to research and look into. We'll go over some statistical things. We'll finish up the show with our picks to win it and our best value play. And then we'll roll with it from there, man. So anything else on the front end here before we get rolling?
No, I'm just excited that you've been to the tournament multiple times. There's nothing like walking a golf course, getting a feel for it, and not having to do that research from scratch and not have any kind of clue of really what the course is all about. And talking about how hot it is, it reminds me of the best golf tournament I went to was 2 years ago. I went to the PGA Championship in St. Louis at Bellerive, and that
Yeah.
was a really hot event. It was the one where Tiger came back, finished second, and Koepka he lifted the trophy at the end. But nothing like seeing a major in person or one of these tournaments on a regular basis where you get a feel for the layout. And so hopefully that extra insight that you have will help us this week.
Well, I've seen just about every hole there and, sat and had a beer and watched some golf at most of them in some of the strategic places. So it's fun. It's so much fun when you're watching it on TV too, because you've been in certain spots, so the angle into the green. I even remember how some of the putts break, and you watch so many guys go through. It's burned in your brain on how they do. But yeah, it's fun. I hope it gives us a little extra insight. It always has a special place in my heart because my dad loved this tournament, and when I moved here with my family when my three kids were all small from north west Pennsylvania back in the snow belt down here to the heat. And when I moved down here, I had come down as the director of sales for Verizon for Texas. And we used to be a big sponsor for this event. And we had a tent right by the 18th hole. And my dad just loved going. And, I lost him a while back. But, it just this tournament always really I have a soft spot because it makes me think of him and enjoying the 18th and just some of the memories there are fantastic. So that's really cool stuff, no doubt about it. And I'll tell you, for our listeners and our members out there, if you lost a loved one like that, I mean, my dad, I'm a carbon copy of my dad, just like my son Dawson is with me. I mean, he was the big NBA fan. He was the coach, all of those things. It's just, and it feels like the same day, like I lost him yesterday. So it never goes away, but they're always in your heart. And I love sporting events like this. We went to the Rangers openers and different things that stick with you, Cowboys as well. And then, you go to that sporting event and you feel like, they're there with you. So really good stuff, man. I'm excited about it. But anyway, so let's sort of let's first of all talk about the big news today for DFS Coach Talk. I am just so ecstatic, and this just happened literally like 20 minutes ago. But we have just signed a deal with mybookie.ag. They are going to be our sole partner and sponsor and affiliate in anything to have to do with sports betting, casino play, anything. MyBookie offers all of it. They're so well respected. You go to mybookie.ag, and it's just the best customer service, the best everything. And this long-term relationship we're going to have with them is fantastic. We're going to have all kinds of giveaways for our guests. We're going to do a lot of cross-promotional things. You'll see us announce things on these podcasts with really good giveaways, tickets to different contests, all kinds of great stuff. So big shout out to mybookie.ag. They are going to be very close partners with us as we grow out DFS Coach Talk. And also our other sponsor, very, very dear and true to us, is TVG. I'm a big horse guy from when I was a kid. I love the ponies, as a lot of our members do. We chat about them every day. In fact, I just saw a score, Andrew. I don't know why I called you Andy. I never call you Andy. But Brenton put up his score today, because you could play on FanDuel a free Gulfstream Park contest. And I think he had like 2 points. You almost couldn't do that if you tried. It's like every horse had to have finished like almost last. So big shout out to Brenton. I got a big charge out of that right before we went on air. But
it's funny. What did you take all the 50-1 shots?
I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense, but I thought it was hysterical. But I know, JP and Lanny, we got a lot of horse folks, and TVG is fantastic. Sign up there and you get a $300 risk-free bet if you sign up through DFS Coach Talk. So, there's some big races this weekend. You want to take a big shot on somebody, get on there, $300 to win or whatever you want to do. If the horse loses, TVG gives you $300 back. It's a pretty darn good deal. So definitely take a look at them. They are where the world wagers and watches horse racing. So
to get that, you just have to go to our website, right, to get that offer?
You have to go to DFSCoachTalk.com. Just click on the TVG logo right there. It'll take you directly to that page and offer, and then you go from there.
Okay.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to set the scene for this golf tournament, the Charles Schwab event. It's the Charles Schwab Challenge, like our DFS Coach Talk Challenge, which my son and I are in first and second place. A little Sarvati power in the little members tournament there. Big shout out. All right, the course, better known as Colonial. It is exactly a 7,000-yard par 70, 35 front, 35 back. I love this course, Andrew, for this reason. We'll do a lot of these PGA shows, and it's going to be a week where we need to take the long hitters. The long hitters dominate a course because, you've got to be in position for that second shot. Or there's some courses where, it's target practice and you're gonna want the accurate guys, that kind of thing. Or it's going to be a course where the putting is just extremely difficult and only the top putters are the guys you really want to focus on. The one thing at Colonial that I love is it really is a fair golf course. And, there's been a huge amount of winners from every aspect. Great long hitters, short, accurate hitters, great putters, guys that just, skim by with putting. So, I mean, it's not so lopsided, and that makes for a great event, as far as DFS goes, because you're going to have a lot of contrarian picks and plays from everybody out there. So, that's one thing I wanted to mention. There are some par fours that guys are going to try to take a rip at. So there are a few scoreable ones. There are some par fours that play, for me, it'd be a par six, but
Right.
for those guys, it plays more like a par five. And then you've got some challenging par threes. And as the pins get tricky on the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, that's when it really becomes tough. But that's a big part of the scoring here at Colonial as well, is the pin placements, because there are some just tough angles and some rough pins, sucker pins, really, where guys, you'll see them playing 25 feet from the pin just to get the ball in the middle of the green. But that's the play, because it's just too risky. That, I think that's going to make it super fair. A couple of weird aspects, though, in watching it in person, it seems like a lot of balls there, because there are some narrow holes, get sprayed a little bit, especially around the greens. And I can't tell you how many times, I mean, dozens, where I saw spectators get dinged or it hit their, umbrella or their cooler or whatever, and stays right in play. Well, that's one of the weird things about this. No fans, nobody's there. So there's no wall to knock your ball down. So in that sense, I think accuracy is going to be slightly more at a premium than it usually is if you spray the ball, especially on your approach shots to the green. So just
Yeah, and I
something
think
I thought
there's
I'd throw in there.
yeah, I think there's going to be fewer marshals out on the course too. So you might actually have some lost balls. Normally you don't see that. Always so many fans and marshals out there. It's like they never lose a ball. It's very rare. So a
Well,
little bit more of a premium on accuracy there.
the accuracy is important. I don't think you'll see a lot of lost balls, though, because the rough never gets like crazy deep. Like you got to get in there with a hacksaw. I mean, it's you're gonna ding around to different spots, but it's usually playable. You may have to chop it, through the trees or whatever. But I don't think you'll see a ton of lost balls unless it's really shanked, for sure. But yeah, it'll create a little bit different feel. There's no doubt about it. And we'll see the guys that are, can self-motivate a little better, and those guys that, feed off the crowd, that's going to be a little bit tougher for them. It's just such a different element. But I guess they'll approach it almost like a practice round. But even though there's people there watching practice rounds, so it's we're in uncharted territories. Again, there certainly are some aspects of this that if you're a DFS player and you want to plop all this info into an optimizer and let it spit out some percentages of ownership, I think you got to really think twice about that. Number one, how do you factor this time off? How do you know, generally there's a pattern going in statistically where you can look at the analytics of something, but when no one's played in a 2-3 months, it creates just a complete unknown as far as that goes. Plus, that they usually play this course at a different time of year. There's a whole lot of elements that will make this extremely unique. So, digging in like we do and trying to find just any of the back information, who's been practicing more, where have they been practicing, what kind of courses are they practicing on. The awesome thing is there's way more top players in this than have ever played in it before. We generally hear for Colonial, you'll get maybe 2 huge guys, and then the rest are just all, the middle of the pack guys that are all good, but you don't get 7, 8 of the top 10 by any stretch. In fact, there are several guys that have never played this course before. So that's a huge aspect of things. And obviously they're coming back because like everybody else, they're just dying to get back in there. So I think that's an element of things that we have to weigh in there too, because yes, it will play into somebody's hands, this course, like a Rory McIlroy for sure. But you know how many times Rory's played this course?
Well, no events, right?
He's not played here before
Right.
in the tournament. So, you know, it's fine. Yeah, I'm sure he's played practice rounds, et cetera, et cetera. But just like game time, it's a different thing when every shot counts. So, you know, experience makes a difference on some of these courses. You know, you'll see some of the Dallas guys, like Spieth and Non, some of these guys that live here that have played this course a bunch. That's going to help them. There's no question about it. So the weather this week, Andrew, how about this? I won't belabor this, but it's all 4 days, 0% chance of rain. Temperatures ranging as a high from 96 to 100 with a heat index from 98 to 104. So you're talking about fourth day of being in that heat on a Sunday. You know, I hope these guys stayed in good physical condition. A lot of them are in tremendous shape, you know, and it may not phase them, but you know, if you're one of the bigger dudes out there and you haven't played a bunch of golf and you're, you know, fourth round in 4 days and 100+ heat index, I think it's going to wear on your game a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. That's about as hot as you can get. So we're going to find out really quickly who's in good shape, who's not. And I want to follow up on some of your points here. In terms of the optimizer, there is no real data for this. This is absolutely unprecedented. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to pay close attention, use the eye test to be ready for these next few weeks, and also to follow up on your general description of the course. You know, if you just look at the past winners here, you get a nice cross section of different types of players, and I really think everybody's in play in general. To your point, you know, you've got the long hitters who've won here. Phil won in 08. Adam Scott won in 14. Justin Rose won in 18. Then you've got the wedge players like Zach Johnson. He won in 2010, 2012. Na won last year. He's not a big hitter. And then one of the best putters ever, Spieth, he won it in 16. So really, to me, it's a wide open field, and you can't just cross out a cross section of guys, based on a stereotype of what type of player they are. So that makes it a little bit more fun and wide open.
100% agree. All right, let me throw a few stats at you just to sort of get us back in the PGA mindset here. For our listeners that are just trying to put their arms around this thing, a good way to look at it is, let's do a quick instant recall here of what has been happening in the 2020 season. It starts at the end of 2019, but just to sort of remind everybody how people had been playing prior to this shutdown. As far as the FedEx Cup standings, it means a lot. Sungjae Im is number one right now with 1,458 points. And then Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Brendan Todd is fourth. Webb Simpson, Patrick Reed, Mark Leishman. Here's a guy that I think you could win a free beer with. The guy that's rated number 8, Lanto Griffin. How about that?
Yep.
And then you have Sebastian Munoz and Hideki Matsuyama, who got off to a decent start. All of those guys except Matsuyama have at least one win. Brendan Todd and Justin Thomas have 2 wins. So interesting, some names on there that you would not expect. And with, golf being away so long, you may have forgotten.
Yeah, Sungjae Im, he's really gained notoriety he's the guy that doesn't have a permanent residence. He just plays every week. He goes hotel to hotel. He's made 13 of 14 cuts, 5 top 10s, and that 1 win. So he's going to be really fun to watch. A guy who plays every week almost competitively. How is this layoff going to affect him?
That'll be interesting. I mean, I'm sure he's been playing, but not in competition-wise. But, man, that kid can putt. He can putt. So he'll be fun to watch. Again, he's one of the burlier guys, though. Is that heat going to have effect on some of those guys? maybe not. I mean, these guys walk, a million holes, but still, I mean, the bottom line is that type of heat, and the dehydration aspect of it and everything, it's not easy. All right, let me buzz through top 10 finishes as you just alluded to, because I always think that's such an important stat. Again, these stats aren't going to be as prevalent as if we're talking about, in the middle of the golf season and it's week after week. This shutdown is going to affect it, but it still lets guys that are in the right mindset are probably chomping at the bit more so than anything else to get out there. But these are important numbers. All right, you got Rory McIlroy only played in 6 events. How about 6 top 10s? How's that? What the heck?
Yeah, and Rahm's right behind him, right? 5 out of
Well,
6.
let's see here. Rahm is, I'll get there. I'll go right down the list.
Okay.
Justin Thomas has played 8 events, 5 top 10s with 2 wins and a third. Rory had 1 win and 2/3, by the way. And then third is Young Hun On, 13 events. So not M and On. You can get those guys confused if you're not paying attention here. Byung Hun On, 13 events, 5 top 10s, and a 3rd place. How about this guy's a guy that's been around for a long time that is super cheap, by the way. Harris English, 11 events, somehow ground out 5 top 10s with a 3rd place finish. And then here's a guy that is sort of everybody's darling right now, Sungjae Im, as we talked about. But here you go, 14 events, 5 top 10s, but he had 4 of those in the top 3. So a first, a second, and 2/3 out of 14. That's whipping ass and taking names. And then here's a guy that's going to shock you too. Webb Simpson, only 5 tournaments, 4 top 10s, including a first, second, and third. And that is a nice little wild card guy to think about right there. Gary Woodland, I really like Gary Woodland. I think he's a guy I root for a lot. Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. He has 8 events, 4 top 10s with a third. Matsuyama, like I said, who's been down the last couple of years, but solid at the start of this season, 11 tournaments, 4 top 10s with a second and a third. Joel Dahman, how do you say his name? Is it Dahman? I'm not... I don't know his game that well. I think he has had 4 top 10s out of 13 events, nothing in the top 3. I've seen him play some. And then Patrick Reed, who the heck knows what you're going to get from him. 8 tournaments, though, 4 top 10s with a win and a second. I mean, when his brain is into it, he's one of the best golfers of the world, no doubt about it. And then a couple more, just because it's important here. Scotty Scheffler, 13 events, 4 top 10s with 2/3. Your man, John Rahm, there you go. 5 tournaments, 4 top 10s, including a second and a third. And then last guy, Bryson DeChambeau, 7 events, 4 top 10s with a second. So you got some hot golfers and a few surprises in that mix.
Yeah, great list. Really important. And we, like you said at the outset, that's much more important when we're talking about the middle of the golf season. Everybody's in a groove, in a rhythm. But I do think it's important because these are guys who are looking back. They've had all this time to think about their season so far, and they're confident about what they've done. And they flash back to all those top 10s, those wins, those top 5s, and I think it's going to help them. So they'll come in here with more confidence and start with a mindset of, I'm just going to keep on rolling where I left off.
Absolutely. And normally when I'm scouting for my PGA lineup, Andrew, I will hone in on, depending on the course, on one of these statistical spots: driving distance or driving accuracy, greens in regulation, and then tee to green, because it just depends on the course where those things are such a premium that you have to give them much more value. But I'm telling you, after being there, watching it, seeing them play, there's no partiality here to you have to have a long game or you have to be able to putt terrifically. Yeah, you need to put all those things together to win it, but you can do it from pretty much any spot. And it's such a variance too. I mean, just to give you a real quick brush of this, um, I'll just do the top five, just again, just to get the PGA brain cells moving around. Scoring average, it's McIlroy, Simpson, Tyler Hatton, Justin Thomas, and DeChambeau. So no slouches there. Driving distance, DeChambeau averages 321.3. That's sickening. McIlroy, Cameron Champ, Bubba Watson, and Sergio Garcia. He's still pounded in 317, and he's getting up there now. Driving accuracy, still Jim Furyk after all these years, still right down the center. Ryan Armour, KJ Cha. How's that?
That's right.
Little KBO crossover there.
There it is.
Chad Campbell and Brendan Todd. And let's see, the last one was putting. Louis Oosthuizen, still the shark on the flat surface. Denny McCarthy, Patrick Reed, John Rahm, and Christopher Ventura. There you go. That's the putting champs. So just to give a feel for sort of where the statistical piece of it laid when the shutdown took place, we'll go from there. Now, we did get a small little look at some of a few of these guys' games in that challenge that they had for charity when they, carried their own bags and played. And then we saw Tiger and Phil in the one deal, but we got to see, let's see, who were the four guys in that event? Rory and DJ, Ricky Fowler,
and Wolf,
and Mr. Wolf. Yep. So, and their games there was nobody I think that was terrible, but nobody that was just like crushing it. So, but at least they were out there competing. So, it's a small advantage there as well. All right. What do you want to jump into any specific points here before we start drilling down?
Well, should we talk a little bit about course history?
Sure.
That's the one I've got the most notes on.
Yep.
So
that's important.
Why don't we start with a guy who I'll give it away. He's going to be my value pick. It's Ryan Palmer, and
he lives like 10 minutes from me.
Does he? Yeah,
he lives right here.
Yeah, see, yep. I mean, he's a member there, as you know.
Yep.
He's played there 16 times. He has 4 top 10s. This year, he's made 8 of 9 cuts, had a couple top 10s. Last year, he finished 6th at this tournament. A few years ago, he finished 3rd. And I heard an interview with him this week, and he's in that mindset of he really wants it. I mean, he wants his name up on that plaque by the first tee. He wants to win that plaid jacket that they give to the winners.
Yeah.
So he's, you and I and the rest of us at DFS Coach Talk, we look at things like interviews, body language, stuff in the media, stuff in social media. And I got a really good vibe from him of being really determined to go out and put out a good performance. And he also talked about how he's used to playing there with no fans.
Right.
He's played hundreds of practice rounds there. And so it's going to feel like a normal day to him. Whereas all these other guys, as you mentioned at the beginning, are going to be trying to adjust to what it's like without all the extra stuff and all the extra people. So I really like his spot here this week.
I think it's a smart call. I mean, some of the guys that are members there, like Palmer, I mean, they've played the course hundreds and hundreds of times, as opposed to some guys coming in that may just now have one practice round out there and just don't know the course as well. So that's a huge advantage, and I think that's a really good call. Give us some other tidbits of history. It's important to look at.
Well, we got to talk about Jordan Spieth because of his history here. So I'm curious of your thoughts on him. He's really been up and down the last couple of years, but he just feels right at home here. Last 5 years, he's won it. He's finished 2nd twice, finished 8th last year. And so we know in these last few years, the inconsistency has been there with his game. He's really been searching for answers. But it seems like here he's always in the groove. He finds a way to get it done. So it'll be an important decision to make this week, whether to include him in some lineups. Will you have Spieth in some of your lineups?
Well, first of all, I think the world of Jordan Spieth. Everything I hear locally around here, everybody that's, knows him or had anything to do with him, he's a terrific young man and very polite, very cordial, very fan friendly. So, I really root for him. But one guy can really crunch your lineup. And if you're going to spend decent bucks on a guy that's that out of form, I don't have the courage to do it. I mean, I'd love to because, he's one of my favorite golfers, but I just haven't seen the consistency really between his ears is I think where it is. I don't know. I mean, since he got married a couple of years ago, the game fell apart. So you always have to blame the wife. I guess that's always the easiest way to do it. But I don't, until I see, a couple weeks in a row where he's in contention, he's not going to make any of my lineups. Now, yeah, I mean, if he's going to bust out somewhere, this would definitely be one of the few courses that he would do it at, because again, he's played here hundreds of times as well. But I just don't see the consistent, aspect of his game. It's not like he's just having trouble off the tee or just having trouble putting. It's just the whole entire scoring aspect of his game has just been erratic. So, it doesn't hurt if you're playing multiple lineups to have him in there just in case he busts out. But, I'm not a big multiple lineup guy, so I'll have probably 3 key lineups for this event. And my man ain't going to make it.
Yeah, and I didn't like the feeling I got from his commentary this week either. He was asked about his form, and he was talking about how he'd been scoring better in practice rounds, but he said himself, it's different to then do it in a tournament. And so for a guy who's sitting there saying, yeah, I've been scoring well, but I don't know if it'll translate to a tournament, he's just not giving off the confidence, and so it just must not be there. I think he's being open and honest, and he's not overly confident that he's going to come out and contend.
Well, if I told you looking at mybookie.ag, I just called up the most current odds to win the event, and Mr. Jordan Spieth is down there at plus 4,700. He's a longer shot than Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, and Mark Leishman. So that'll show you how far my man Jordan has fallen.
Yeah, it's a shame, but those 3 guys make a little bit more sense.
They do. I'll tell you what, as long as I'm on here and we have now this new relationship with mybookie.ag, I love their stats. I'm going to biz down this list because I think this is an important thing to just put in your brain as you're making lineups, because Vegas usually knows their stuff. And these are the culmination of all the sports books lines put into my bookie. So you've got obviously, well, you're not looking at the favoritism yet, are you? All right. It's one at a time for every podcast I have a coach's quiz challenge. So here we go, man. You've got to name 3 of the top 5. I'm going to make it tough on you. This is easy. 4. I'm putting pressure on you. 4 of the top 6 favorites to win this event. Let's see what you got.
Rory McIlroy.
Piece of cake. Plus 800. He's the favorite.
The Spaniard, Jon Rahm.
Second choice, 1,200. Those are giveaways. Free squares.
JT, Justin Thomas.
Third favorite, 1,600. You do some golf wagering, it looks like. So you need 2 more out of the next 3 guesses. Gets a little spicier.
No, now. I need 1. I need 4 out of 6. I need 1 more.
I changed the rules.
I don't like that. Let's see. I think Koepka is down the list, even though all he does is win majors.
Is that an official guess?
That's not an official guess, no. Geez, why am I starting to blank on who would be next? It's probably because I was focusing on
pressure. It's like standing over a 3.5-foot putt.
Those are not easy. I've been focusing on some of these value guys, so I haven't even been paying attention to the top. Is Dustin Johnson up there in the top 6? Uh-oh.
He is 2,800 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. You almost got it, buddy.
How about Webb Simpson?
Yes, very
Okay.
good guess. And he is actually fourth because those stats we just read off. He's at plus 2,000. Well done, sir. The other guys, two guys that would have got you a winner, are Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, who I thought you would guess, even though Koepka's been off his game a little bit. And then from there it goes DJ, as you mentioned, Sunjay M, Xander Schauffele, who's one of my personal favorites, Patrick Reed, Ricky Fowler, Tony Finau. I don't like Tony Finau, by the way. He's a nice guy, but I don't think he's a clutch golfer. Mark Leishman, and as we mentioned, Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Shane Lowry, and Matthew Fitzpatrick. That's the big group from top to bottom as far as odds go. So, you've got some chalk up top. You're not going to find. I bet you find very, very, very few lineups that don't have either McIlroy, Rahm, or Thomas. I think those guys will really be heavily owned and be the chalk. It's really, the value plays are key, but it's that whole group of about 12, 15 guys that are right below that first level, that are capable of winning the event or capable of not making a cut. So, those are the tough ones for sure.
Yeah, and some of those guys you mentioned are very attractive names in general, but I want to point out a couple that have not had good course history here recently. You
Okay.
mentioned Bryson DeChambeau as one of the shorter odds guys here. He's missed the cut 3 out of the last 4 years, and
Yeah.
I love his game, but it hasn't translated yet. And then Xander Schauffele's missed the cut here the last 2 years, and I heard an interview with him where he's talking about how usually when he comes here and it's the Texas wind, he has a little bit more trouble with it. He's not used to it, so he was talking about how it's not windy this
No.
week. But again, course history not strong for Xander or for Bryson.
Yeah, and again, this harkens back to what we've mentioned twice already. If you're optimizing this and you're looking at those type of things, I'm telling you, this course is playing massively different in June than it would in the spring or earlier when they play it, because earlier the course is a little softer. Yeah, there's always wind in that time of year, usually very gusty, and it just plays different. You know, now the course, I mean, you're going to have balls roll out like you would not believe, because we haven't had any rain in the last like almost week, and then you've got all of this heat and drying out. I mean, they're going to be watering the daylights out of it, but it's still going to run out and be fast. And I think guys like DeChambeau, the really long hitters, even DJ, there's a lot of strategic shots on this course. If you boom it, you're not going to be at the right angle. You're going to hit it through the turn. There's it's a little bit more strategic than it is just long. But yet you have to have some distance also to get at those angles. So again, there's no like specific style of your game that is just going to work. You just have to have it going on all cylinders.
Yep, exactly. Finau, I want to comment on him because I do like him this week based on his performance here. Last year he finished second, and I agree with you. That's the one knock on him is finishing tournaments and actually winning. I'm still picturing that tournament this year where he lost to Webb Simpson down the stretch when he really should have won. He had that tournament in hand.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you. Maybe not a guy to bet to win the tournament, but based on his course history, he's going to be in my player pool for DFS because, of course, you don't need. I mean, you want to get the winner, but you're okay with a guy that you're confident has a real good shot of being top five, and Finau is one of those guys for me.
I don't trust him. I really don't. I don't see that consistency and grit. I think he's almost too nice of a guy, and he has talent, but I'm just not in his corner. He will not be making a lot of my lineups for sure. But you never know. Like I say, there's going to be a combination of advantage for some of the course knowledge guys, and and then again, we don't know some of these guys that haven't played or haven't played it much. It may be a perfect fit for their game. We just don't know yet. So there's a lot of questions. I know, I generally will, obviously play the whole tournament in the different cash and GPPs, but I always like to reload for the weekends when you know how the cuts fallen and everything's settled in there, and either it's sometimes you're reloading on Saturday, basically starting over from square one, but it's a lot of fun when you got a lot of live action still going into the weekend, and then you can sort of double some of it up, cover yourself with a few of the guys you didn't think were going to play as well that are. So it gives you a whole nother strategic play going into it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Golf is just a very unique sweat through the weekend, and so much can change just even on the back nine on Sunday. So it makes DFS golf a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, what else? Anything else on your side of the coin? I know we're giving the listeners quite a bit of information to digest, but maybe something you need to listen back to catch some of the numbers, odds, try to put all of the different pieces together as you formulate your team. I'm going to be playing on I wanted to real quickly mention too, obviously the majority of my play is on DraftKings and FanDuel, but just so our listeners know, for those that do play, Fantasy Draft and Yahoo are back for this PGA event. They've been completely dark through this entire COVID quiet. So there are a few contests on there that are really nice contests. So I will have just like 2 plays on Fantasy Draft and Yahoo, and the majority of my action still on FanDuel and DraftKings. But I just wanted to mention to our listeners that all 4 are in play for the PGA.
Yeah, and we might as well mention now that we're giving away a free ticket, right, for new members. So
we are.
I mean, this is Wednesday night. Tournament's tomorrow. Become a member at DFS Coach Talk. We'll give you our FanDuel lineup tonight. We'll put that out, and then our DraftKings player pool, and you get a free ticket to the Millionaire Maker on DraftKings.
Yes, and if you join, it's a $20 value. You jump in that Millie Maker, $20 DraftKings entry, and it comes with either a month or a year membership to DFS Coach Talk, and you sign up at www.dfscoachtalk.com. And the great thing about it is our memberships remain frozen. We had committed to this at the beginning of this, terrible situation of saying we're shutting off membership clocks on the memberships until one of the major sports returns. So not knowing what the heck baseball's done, we've already announced that if you do join, let's say you join today, you get that free Millie Maker ticket and you become a member, you have access to everything that we have, Discord, all of our information, pros, content, everything. And it's free basically from now until July 31st. July 31st is when the first day of your new membership would start. So we wanted to try to do the right thing. I know, we're the only ones out there doing that, but 2 things. One, we want to prove that, we're the best, which we really believe that we are. And secondly, we want to just give everybody a chance to build that bankroll. And, if you've been with us, we're also the only ones that are grinding the life out of this KBO. We're making money, all these crazy lock times. I don't know what day it is or hour of the day it is half the time, because I'm in there 30 minutes before every lock. So sometimes for me here in Dallas, it's a 1 a.m. and a 4:30 a.m. lock time. So I'm up 30 minutes before. Then last night we had weather with some rain games. So there are a huge advantageous aspect of working with us on KBO, because I generally, literally 50%, I think, around of the lineups have dead guys in them, people that got scratched or their game was rained out, or they were moved from second down to ninth, or whatever the case may be, and they're not adjusting to that. So that's another big thing that we're doing, and we're very, very proud of here at DFS Coach Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been back at it tonight with more KBO for our members. So we'd love to have you. Are we going to share a winner prediction and a value play to wrap it up?
I think we should do that. I will start off with my winner.
What we got?
I am going with Mr. Justin Thomas.
Ooh.
I like his his play, his attitude, his just, again, I think the smaller, lighter guys that are, I just think it's going to be more conducive. The bigger Koepkas and Rahms, and I mean, I know those guys are in great shape, but I'm telling you, until you've walked 18 here in this kind of heat, which I've done and barely survived, let alone 4 days of it in a row, I think it really helps to be like that, the McIlroy, Thomas, those small builds. They're like, those dudes are like 5'9", 5'10", maybe 170. I mean, they're little guys. They still beat the lights out of the ball, but it's a lot easier to carry that around for 4 straight days in a heat index of 104. That's for sure. So I know it's a small thing, but that was just the slight thing that I'm going with Justin Thomas. Although I think his game is on, I think he's playing with confidence, and I think he'll really have a good round.
Yeah,
good turn.
Right. Yeah, he really uses what he's got in terms of his body. He basically jumps off the ground. He just fires everything at the ball on his drives.
Crazy.
But yeah. All right, so Coach, we may need to have a little bit of a side bet here, because I'm going with Jon Rahm, actually. One of those bigger, stronger guys you're talking about, burly and thick. Yeah. I think he's ready to win this tournament. He missed the cut last year, but the 2 years before that, he was 5th and 2nd. And you mentioned all of his top 10s here this year. He's in great form, or he was. I also like his demeanor this week with the interviews. I think he's nice, peaceful state of mind. He was talking like Tiger used to talk, where he said, what's the point of coming if I don't think I can win? And we heard Tiger say that hundreds of times. And so Rahm is at that point, one of the best players in the world. And so he's my pick this week with that course history and that confidence.
I'll take Thomas against Rahm all day long.
All right.
So what's the bet though? It's got to be something painful. Let's see, you got to do a podcast. Let's see. What can we do that would make somebody super uncomfortable and they'd be really bummed if they lost? Let's see. How about no shirt?
Whoa, I don't know. It's risque and risky.
You have to go skins for one podcast.
Wow.
How painful is that? Do you accept the challenge? We may lose a lot of viewers.
I
know. Let's just say if that happens, that's the week you want to listen on Spotify or all of our not on YouTube where you're viewing us. But wouldn't you be sweating on Sunday if you knew you had to do a skins?
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not going to have to sweat it out, because I know Rahm's gonna have my back.
It's on then. It's Justin Thomas or bust. It's on. All right, we got a bet. And unfortunately, the biggest losers in this bet are our viewers.
Right. Yeah.
This is going to be stressful for sure.
Oh boy. All right,
man. All right.
How about a value play?
We know yours, Ryan Palmer.
I'll give one more.
Oh, a bonus.
A bonus
pick,
play.
Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll give you mine.
Okay.
It's a shocker, and he's super long. I'm trying to find where he is on the stats. He's so far down, I don't even know if he's part of the he might be part of the field. Oh my God, I don't see him anywhere. I'm going to take a really bizarre guy that you're going to be surprised in. Graham McDowell, the old wily vet. I think he's got the right game for this course. I wish I could hope he's in the odds here somewhere. Super value pick, super low owned. Last guy in, there he is, plus 16,000. That's all. He's right sandwiched in between Eric Van Ruyen and Charlie Hoffman, who's not going to be digging the heat. I can tell you that. So anyway, there's my value guy.
All right. Yeah, Graham's had a career resurgence lately.
He
It's
has.
good for him.
Yep.
So my other value play is going to be Brian Harmon. I love the little lefty. Great course history here. He makes the cut.
Yeah.
Last 5 years, 31st, 25th, 14th, 10th, and 7th. Not in that order, but that's pretty solid. He's made 10 of 12 cuts this year, one top 10. So not a pick to win it, but a pick to make the cut. And we know how important making the cut is in DFS. If you want to cash, you want your 6 guys to make the cut, and then it's pretty much smooth sailing. So he'll be in a lot of my lineups.
Well, it's interesting because, they have the from top to bottom on the odds here, but as people are betting, they don't adjust the columns, but they're in there. So he's only 10,000 to 1, but he's right in between Brendan Steele 16,000 to 1 and Tom Hoge 16,500. So somebody, put a couple shekels on Mr. Harmon.
See?
That's a
There you
good
go.
sign.
Yeah.
The rumor got out that he was your value play, I think.
I know it.
It got out. It snuck out. So there you go. Well, hopefully that gives everybody a good feel for the tournament. We wanted to approach this very conversational because I think it's going to take a lot different type strategy to do well in this event. And, hopefully one of our listeners or members takes down the $1 million. It's awesome to see life-changing money for people. So we certainly hope that happens. Again, join us at DFS Coach Talk. We want to thank our wonderful sponsors, mybookie.ag and tvg.com. Definitely go there for any of your sports wagering, casino wagering, or horse wagering. And then, of course, all of your DFS needs, we will take care of you here and build that bankroll. Now, here we are. We're 5 o'clock here in Dallas. We'll be posting this so everybody has all evening to listen to it. They tee off super early in the morning, so then we'll be at it. But in between that, we're going to tackle KBO, get those picks and information up, and then we'll be up in the wee hours fine tuning those. And good, bad news for you though, Andrew. We may have rain issues again in KBO.
Oh man, when I looked earlier, I didn't see that, but I did see it's a split start time. Because of the rain out last night, we have a 2 a.m. first pitch, and then the rest of the main slate's at 5:30 a.m. Eastern. So we're going to have the double wake-up call in the middle of the night, but we'll be ready for it. And that's what I'll close on, is make sure everybody tunes in. The next 2 days, we'll have a KBO podcast again on Thursday and Friday. So let's keep it rolling.
Fantastic, man. Great show. This has been a week of firsts, and this is our first PGA show. So hope everyone enjoyed it. Appreciate all of the listeners, and we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.